Good morning, everybody. To build a raised bed here, I'm just here to sort of a bit of safety, really. Obviously, the timber we're using is quite rough, so beware of splinters and things like that. Obviously, this is a saw. It cuts timber and people quite easily. The way I want you to hold it is your hand there and your finger there. Okay, not like that, because the handle just goes like that and you've got no control. So, okay.
There's no definitive way to build a raised bed. There's loads of different styles. We're doing a raised bed with walls, which sort of contains everything quite nicely, but you can just build a raised bed by mounding up the soil and you don't have to have the walls at all. There's advantages to both. So if you've got the walls, it's nicely sort of closed in. Yeah. But slugs and things can harbour in the edges and in the corners. So some people prefer the ones that are just plonked straight on the ground because it harbours fewer slugs and things.
What are the advantages of a raised bed versus just digging in the ground?
Because once you've built your raised bed, you don't dig. The whole idea of a raised bed is that you never dig and you never walk on that area. Therefore, the soil doesn't get compressed. Therefore, you don't need to dig, because digging is all about lifting the soil, loosening it so roots can grow easily. So if you never press hard on it, you never have to dig. The only exception is potatoes, obviously, because you have to dig them up. But that's the only time you'd really be digging in your raised bed. And the lovely thing about, we could put a raised bed here today, we wouldn't have to dig up the grass or anything. You could just plonk them straight anywhere. If you had an awful lot of chickweed and horrible weeds, you might want to try and clear some of the roots out first, but really it's not necessary. We could just plonk it straight on here, because the first thing we put in it is chicken poo, and that burns it. So it really burns what's there and stops it growing through, and you're putting cardboard on to shut out the light so things can't grow through as well. That when you first make your first raised bed, because the manure is quite young and raw, there's a limit to what you can grow the first year. So that would be potatoes, sweet corn, and all your courgette and marrow type plants, because they can all cope with a very, very rich soil, whereas other plants, it burns their roots. You can buy chicken manure in pellets. Yeah, you don't have to have it fresh from the chicken.
Oh, you've got fresh chickens?
Yes.
Oh, you actually have chickens?
Yes, I've got chicken. And we haven't bought very much because we knew it was going straight on the soil. Yeah. So we just brought enough to demonstrate, really. But had we been doing it here on the grass, we would have tried to have enough to give a decent covering to the ground.
What, a couple of centimetres or?
Yeah. Not even that, perhaps just 1 centimetre, just enough. Okay. It's so strong.
Are you going to tell us maybe the preferred size of a raised bed?
Good idea. It's any length you like. It's the width that's crucial, and the width is measured by how far it is for you to lean into the middle. Yep. Okay, because you're never going to walk on it. So you don't want one where you've got to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's usually about 4 feet, or what's that? 1.2 metres if we're going metric. Okay, but you can always sort of measure yourself and see what's comfy. And if you're doing several raised beds, you obviously want to make sure you've got an alleyway at least need to put away from the next ones. You've got room to kneel.
Yes, good idea.
So, as I say, any length you like. Lucy's plots and on our planks are going to denote how long ours are.
If you are making multiple piles, raised beds, the piles in between, put carpet, stones, something to suppress the plants, because you don't want the plants on your path taking all the goodness out of the soil, so the stuff in your raised bed isn't getting it.
And also, you know, if the grass grows up, then it's producing seed that's going to go in your raised bed, and you don't want that either. So.
What about mulch?
Well, you can put stuff around your plants in your raised bed, whatever you like, mulch them or whatever.
Yes, don't use bark chippings, wood chippings. It depends how old they are, but they can leach the soil, and therefore they're just taking the nutrients straight through past your plant's roots, and that's no good. So they're okay on the footpaths in between, but not actually on the raised bed itself. I don't advise that. If you want to, suppress weeds and things, it's always a matter of putting down perhaps leaf litter or cardboard or carpet or things like that.
They're obviously not rather backed carpet. foam back carpet, a proper
Jute.
Hessian jute back one,
Yeah.
because it will rust.
Yeah.
But it's a great way of recycling your old
Oh, yes,
carpet or
great
anybody's
idea.
old. It's another way of sort of keeping to use it, and it'll go back into the ground as it should do,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Could I ask another
Yes,
question? I
please.
noticed the wood is not treated. Isn't it because that it will rot?
It
won't
will rot, yes.
So it's not best to go and buy, that
Yes, it
that
would be if you
green
could.
stuff.
Well, I had brought a means of treating it down, but I didn't. I thought we'd make it then treat it in situ because creosote is obviously I didn't know what people would be wearing. So I didn't want you to end up with big black stains all over your best dress or whatever it might be. So, but yes, if you can buy treated timber, that's fine. But we found a load of floorboards in a skip. We just sort of said, basically
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
make one of these for
Do you
nothing
need to
really.
treat it?
Well, it will rot, won't it?
Yes, it will rot. Yes.
It will rot.
But it'll be several years. It won't,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
It'll take longer to rot.
But
if
as you
it's
say, with the
treated.
treatments, it will last longer.
But it's a good bit. People have raised beds, quite small, even if that's the only space you've got. You can make them higher as well, especially if somebody's a bit disabled and can't
Yeah.
bend. You can have a nice high raised bed, and that works well as well.
And you don't tend to plant one of these green manure crops the first year. That's not necessary. 'Cause
You
you
could.
What's a green manure?
It's like clover, black
Well, yeah,
medic,
you
or
say-
something like that.
You make, compost with it, water compost.
They've often got a lot of nitrogen nodules on the roots and things like
your
that,
own
which
compost
keep the
bin.
soil very
Yes,
nice.
yes. Yeah. Well, if you have some, yes.
But the whole
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
is
So
Another
over
chicken.
over the years, because you're rotating and mixing the sort of crop, is
Yeah.
that each fruit and vegetable takes a different thing out of the soil. So if you keep rotating and moving them around, they sort of it balances it all out. Okay, what do you want to do now? Are you going to do your sawing
Yeah.
bit?
First, I brought a blunt saw and a decent saw. I want you all to have a go at the blunt saw and the decent saw to realise that what tools you have got. It does make a hell of a difference.
Okay.
Okay. Within 10 minutes, you've just ruined your saw straight away. Well, that's the blunt one, obviously. And that's a good one.
Okay.
And that costs £4.50 if you and you can probably buy them cheaper. I don't really agree with the throwaway society, but that's what that basically is. Once it's blunt, you throw it away. Because not many people will sit down for hours sharpening that anymore. In the past there was little old boys that used to do it on the side of the building site, and that's how they earned their money. But that's all gone, unfortunately.